the CMR process and take a look at the draft RFQ that was sent out to the team last week. So just to kind of give a quick overview of the short agenda we have, the CMR process will do a quick overview of the two phases that we'll need to go through. We'll look at, yep.
Do we have to
continue
open the meeting and everything? Sorry, Jenny.
Before you continue, I need to read the post of the meeting and we need to do a roll call. So let me do that and then
Okay.
we can continue. Okay. Please be advised there'll be a subcommittee meeting of the Medford Comprehensive High School Building Committee via remote participation only. The meeting can be viewed live on Medford Public Schools YouTube channel and through Medford Community Media on your local cable channel, which is Comcast 9, 8, or 22, and Verizon 43, 45, or 47. The meeting will be recorded. Participants can call or log in by using the following information. The meeting ID is 988-3308-0541. We have rules around public comment, and in the event that there are folks in this meeting who wish to provide public comment, the public comment is limited to 3 minutes per individual and will be limited to matters on the agenda. Speakers may only speak once on each topic. The chair may limit to 2 minutes based on the number of individuals wishing to speak, and we'll announce that at the beginning of the public comment period at every meeting. The public is encouraged to reach out in the following ways. There are 2 email addresses. One is for questions that require an official response from the project team, which is mhsproject@medford.k12.ma.us. And then comments and perspectives you'd like to share with all members of the MCHSBC. That email is mchsbc@medford.k12.us. I'll call the roll. Libby Brown.
Here.
Brian Hilliard.
I'm here.
Ken Lord.
Here.
Matt Rice.
Here.
Jenny Graham here. Dr. Galusi is absent. She'll be along shortly. And who from the left field team is our official designee for this?
I am.
Okay, Matt.
Here.
Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 present, 1 absent, and we'll call the meeting to order. I'm going to turn it over to you, Matt.
Great. Thank you, Jenny. Okay. Yeah, so like I was saying, this is really a kickoff meeting for this team, just to go over the overall construction manager at risk process. We'll talk a bit about the timeline, and then we'll look at the critical sections of the RFQ that we do intend to post at the end of the month, and which I'll go through in the timeline as well. So after the meeting today, I'll distribute to the full committee to have them to give them a chance to review. We do have this on the agenda for the June 18th meeting, so we'll receive any comments from the committee on the 18th. We'll get it updated and ready to post at the end of the month. So just to highlight kind of quickly the 2 phases that we go through. The first phase is called the pre-qualification process. This is to confirm that any of the firms that want to bid on the project or submit proposals are actually qualified to do so. It's based off of experience, past performance, personnel, financial capacity, and their overall project approach. So only the firms that are determined to be qualified through this first phase will be invited to submit proposals in the second phase. So this is kind of our opportunity to do a deep dive into the firms that are interested and make sure that they are qualified to do something of this size and complexity. After the qualifications have been completed, the qualified firms will receive the RFP, or request for proposals. This is another document that will highlight more specifically, what the proposals need to include, um, and how they should be pricing it, both for pre-construction services and throughout the entire project. Just seeing, exactly what they are looking at from a budgetary standpoint. The initial contract negotiations will be for pre-construction only. The full GMP, or guaranteed maximum price, contract will not be executed until the bid phase of the project, which will be sometime in 2028. So the initial kind of negotiation that we'll have to do with the selected construction managers for pre-construction, it's usually a pretty simple and straightforward negotiation for pre-construction. The firms will outline, everything that they plan to do in pre-construction, and it's pretty typical to see all of the construction managers, give a discount, sort of say they know that the pre-construction budgets are typically, fairly small with limited scope. So they try to meet those, that budget, knowing that the real work comes through the construction phase of the project. Any questions on kind of the two different phases? All right. Just looking at our schedule, the pre-qualification timeline is on the left. These are just the high level kind of milestones. So on the 25th is when we're intending to issue advertising. This is when the submissions are actually made to the Central Register. We'll work with Medford's procurement office for the combis and newspaper ad postings. The intent is to have those issued on the 25th so that they appear in all of the publications on July 1st. That is when the firms will reach out to left field requesting the RFQ. We'll distribute to anybody that requests it. They have just over a week to review the initial RFQ and then issue any questions that they may have. We'll respond to those within a week. Those are usually just clarifications, if there are any. But given that the RFQ is usually a bit more straightforward than the actual RFP for the proposals, they're usually pretty minor. And we anticipate the statements of qualifications to be due on July 24th. So about 6 weeks from now is when we'll see the first submissions from the interested firms. From the 25th through August 11th, the pre-qualification subcommittee will review the SOQs, and with the anticipation on the 14th to notify the firms that have been pre-qualified. After the pre-qualification, we'll go into the CMR process.
Can I just ask a question about that first block?
Yep.
In that 7/25 to 8/11 time frame, when we say we're going to do the SOQ review, what does that entail?
So the SOQ packages will come with a lot of kind of standard information, like their DCAM certificate. So a lot of the information, sorry, I'm getting a call and I can't mute it. A lot of the documents in the SOQs are documents that left field will confirm that they have provided, like their DCAM certificate. There's nothing really to review there for the subcommittee per se. The big review from the subcommittee will revolve around the actual evaluation criteria. And I'll pull up the RFQ shortly and just kind of walk through that section and kind of we can see how those criteria are currently spelt out, and just talk about kind of the the review process and how we'll do that. I will create an RFQ matrix, review matrix that the subcommittee can use. Usually it's a not advantageous, advantageous, most advantageous. This phase does not come with an actual number scoring. The numbered scoring is in the RFP or in the actual proposals. That is spelt out in Mass General Law. It's based out of 100 points. So that is something that we'll pull together to make sure that they are to make sure that the committee knows exactly what sections need to be most closely reviewed. Because like I said, a lot of it is really going to be on left field side just to confirm, like, yes, they have submitted this.
And typically, sorry, Matt, at
Yep.
that stage, as part of that review matrix that first pass that left field provides, there are some notes on things and our observations of making sure that they've checked the boxes, but also making some notes on some of the more nuanced or important parts of the qualifications packages.
Excuse me, Matt, have you reviewed this timeline with city procurement already?
I have not, no.
Yeah, I'm recommending that ASAP because they have they may question some of these dates. So
Okay. Yeah, I will reach out to them. That was also what I intended to do before the end of the week. Once we had this meeting, was reach out to them and make sure they have a couple weeks to make sure that they've got the advertisements lined up. The last time
they work a half day on Friday, that's all. Make sure.
Okay. All right. Yep. I'll make sure I get something out to them this afternoon.
Can you tell us, like, what role does our city procurement play in this process normally?
So that is one of the questions I do have for them in terms of do they require all submissions to come through them? Is it okay for them to come through left field, especially the electronic submissions? So they don't need to play a role unless they I guess want to, or per Medford procurement laws need to control that process. We've seen it done kind of both ways. So typically we would say try to keep it through left field, just so it's a bit cleaner, since we'll be the ones distributing documents and performing kind of the bulk of the review on kind of the mandatory documents that I had mentioned earlier. So that was one of the questions that I did have, was what kind of involvement does Medford procurement need to have? And if none, then I think that's okay. But I'll just want to make sure that they don't have any requirement that submissions need to go through them.
You have to talk with the chief procurement officer, but through the other projects I've worked on, they have run the bids through their BidNet Direct system and done all that, but I'd refer to them. So
okay.
And do you have a preference on whether we suggest that left field run point on this, or that city procurement does?
You asking me?
Yeah, do we have a preference that Matt should communicate?
I don't have a personal preference. It's really going to be per call as chief procurement officer whether she'd allow it or not.
Okay. Yeah. And so Matt, if you'll copy me on those correspondences, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so in this 725 to 811, I know there's we're reviewing a lot of paperwork. Are we meeting? What is this team doing besides waiting for you all to vet the paperwork?
So I do have another, I can skip ahead to that slide. I do have another, our next meeting scheduled for 7/13 at the moment. And again, we can go through these dates and make sure they work for all of the pre-qualification members. At that meeting, I'll have the full matrix. I'll certainly distribute it before then, but this will be before we receive the actual SOQs, so that we can talk about the actual review process in a bit more detail. so that when we do receive the SOQs, everybody can kind of go back, review on their own, fill out their matrix, fill out the matrix, and then when we meet again on August 3rd, that will be to actually review the statements of qualification and finalize which firms we see as pre-qualified. So we have two other meetings around the RFQs, around the RFQ process to review the statements of qualifications in this time period. So that was my intent right now.
Okay. The first date works for me, fine. The second date, I cannot be in person. And so if we want to have that meeting in person, if we could perhaps do it on July 31st, that would be better for me. I don't know if everyone else is able to, if we're making an assumption that the future meetings will be in person. I don't know how those dates work for everyone else.
I'm just looking.
I would have a
Sorry.
conflict on 8/3.
Say that again, Ken?
I'd have a conflict on 8/3.
Okay. Brian?
Well, I was just looking. Yeah, 8/3 may be tough for me too, but I would have to do a little more consultation to figure it out for sure if things can move around.
Well, it sounds like 8/3 is difficult for a few people, so it sounds like we will be moving that one anyways.
Does
Jenny proposed 7/31.
Does that work for folks?
Yes.
I think those are all
Oops.
fine for me.
Then Friday.
That's what I don't want to.
Are we under the assumption that we should all be in person for this particular type of meeting?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the 7/31 one will be important to have in person.
Okay.
I think the one on the 13th could be remote. Again, we'll have questions on the RFQ and we'll have the matrix to review, but that won't be any. We won't have SOQs and be reviewing anything at that point. Just preparing for the review. So I think the 7/13 meeting could be remote if that is easier. But the 7/31 with a more detailed discussion on the SOQs in person, I think is best.
I'll just say that we can make it work for my end.
Okay.
9/7.
9/7 you said is
Labor
you have a
Day.
conflict?
It's Labor Day.
Oh, it's Labor Day. Okay.
Sorry, Matt, we sort of dove into that bullet. If you want to go back to your like chart so that we can talk about, yeah, we jumped from the left into that other slide. So do you want to talk about the proposal timeline?
Yeah, the proposals, once we notify the pre-qualified firms from on August 14th, when we notify them, we will also send them the request for proposal. There's no advertising or anything needed for that. It's just a continuation of the process. Once people are qualified, they get the RFP. During that process, we will have a mandatory site walk at Medford so that everybody that's interested can, see the site, walk through the school, really kind of get a sense of the logistics and the challenges that they're going to face. So I think that's a super critical one. We typically do make them mandatory, just to, we want people that are serious and really interested in going after this project. After that walkthrough, everyone can submit questions for the RFP, whether it's related to the actual document or questions they may come up with during the walkthrough. We'll have about a week to respond to those questions. And then the actual proposals will be due on September 4th. From there, that should be from the 4th to the 21st, is when the selection committee will review the proposals. We will hold the pricing proposals during this first part of the review, just so that we can look at the proposals and look at it, from a qualifications and experience standpoint first. It's typical to look at the non-pricing proposals, see how the firms stack up against each other. And then after the interviews, we'll take a look at the pricing proposals as well. And those are kind of the three separate categories that we'll have, to rank them on, their proposal, their interview, and then their pricing proposal. So that will be the kind of general outline. Once we have reviewed the proposals, we'll set up the interviews. Right now, we're anticipating for the end of September, with a follow-on meeting of this committee. We can either, depending on the timing of those interviews, I have in the past held executive session following the interviews so that the selection committee can review and discuss the final ranking, while everything is still kind of fresh in our minds. So between, the 28th and the 29th, I think it will be critical for us to kind of finalize that ranking. I have proposed a meeting with the building committee at some point in October, early October. We still need to finalize what date that will be. But at that meeting, we would, review the ranking of the construction manager firms, and, ask the building committee, to proceed with negotiations with the top ranked firm. Again, those negotiations are usually fairly quick and pretty easy to get through, for the pre-construction services. And once we have that negotiation, we will issue a notice to proceed, while the paperwork is kind of circulating for signatures, so that they can, get their heads into the project through the month of October. That's when we'll be seeing the final, space recommendations from the building committee on the 14th. So it'll be good to have them involved to see that process. And then they'll, be able to weigh in heavily with SMMA on logistics and phasing, which is going to be a very critical part of this project. So that's what we're looking at, pretty much from now until we issue a notice to proceed in early October. But for the sake of this meeting, we'll focus really just on the qualification pieces, since we won't be, issuing the RFP until August. So we have some time to finalize that document and review that. I had sent out an email last week when I issued the draft of the RFQ, sorry, with just some of the pages to take a look at. So this was, the general information section is really just confirming if this committee wants any hard copies. A lot of, these submissions have gone fully electronic, but if we want to request hard copies, we certainly can do so.
Matt, before we dive into the CMR, can we look at the detailed schedule that's like on the next page, I think? I just want to make sure that the subsequent dates for meetings work for everybody here before we proceed.
Yep.
Actually, I'd like to jump in two things. So I found out I'm going to be on a plane on the 13th, on July 13th. I thought it was in the evening, but it's actually in the morning. So that throws a wrench in for me on the 13th, the first meeting. Second, Matt, left field Matt, I don't think I got, and I'm actually quite positive, I got your email with any of the information on this. And also because the calendar invite didn't come through. So I think somehow I got dropped on the original.
And they should be going to your Medford School Building Committee email.
Ah, okay. That's exactly why. Which I never check. Usually everything comes through my work email, but I can bring that back in the fold. I haven't had to use that recently, so I'm just not in the habit of checking.
Okay, yeah, that's usually where I send all documents just to keep everything, within kind of city Medford.
Within that. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Duly noted.
And
Thanks.
Brian, just like, you are on copy, I can see that. So if you look in your Medford inbox, I think you'll see all of the docs.
Okay.
But the reason we want you to be operating in there is because from an open meeting law perspective, if you get into a habit of using your personal email, records requests like sort of have the right to like reach into your personal email.
Yep.
As well. So if you stick with like your City of Medford, your Medford Public Schools email address for all your stuff, like it is a safer bet for you personally. In an event of like somebody having questions, like open meeting law questions.
Okay, perfect. Duly noted. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. So 7:13, Brian, would 7:14 be better or?
So I'll be, I mean, I can make it work. I can make anything work simply because, I know this is important. Let me jump up. I'm going to be flying into Western Canada, so I'll be, I can do anything from anywhere. It's just, I won't be in person if that's.
And I think for this first meeting, it sounds like that's okay,
That's okay.
right?
Yep.
So is there because it sounds like you'll be on West Coast time, is there
Correct.
a time of day that maybe we can coalesce around for this so that we're not blowing up Brian's whole day
Yeah, I
or
mean,
making him get up at 4 a.m.?
right. Again, I can kind of work, obviously this is a bigger group than just me, but if we are doing, what was this, an 11 a.m. meeting? If we're in that zone, I can make that work, obviously. If it's evening, that's fine. Matt, are you expecting to do these sort of working hour meetings in general?
I'm pretty flexible. I typically do kind of defer to what works for all of the the district members, just because your schedules are, you have normal day jobs, so I want to be sensitive to that, and so if evenings work better, I'm totally flexible for that. But
Yeah, I'm fine. Again, if we sort of have a, across the board, if this is like an 11 a.m. type of meeting, typically, I'll just make it work. That's fine.
okay.
And Libby, what about you in terms of like preference for things during the day or later in the day?
Either's fine. For a virtual meeting, either one is totally fine. In person, evenings are easier because I'm not there, I'll be back in Medford, but on a certain day I can be there in person too. Just
Okay.
as long as there's a heads up. So
Got it. So if we were to look at 7:14 at 11 a.m., does that work for everyone here? We'll have to check with Dr. Galusi, but that would steer us clear of that. And then it sounds like on 7:31, although if we're going to meet in the evening, we may not want to do that on Friday in the evening. So I don't know if you all have any like thoughts about the time of that meeting, and if we prefer the evening. Libby, are you thinking like 5 or 4 or 6 or?
that's the 31st.
Yeah.
Yes.
I work from home on Fridays, so that I could do more easily during the day if it's better for everybody. I'll be
like 3.
Yeah, I think I can make that work as well.
Great. And so then, Matt, when we get into the proposals, on 8/24, we would be meeting same thing to talk about um, the review matrix questions, etc. That is the first day that is not the first day of teachers returning, Ken, right? It's the following week.
Correct. That's
But is that
production week, but that doesn't start till like Tuesday.
okay? So Monday would be okay from a school perspective. Okay.
Can't speak for Suzanne, but yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty flexible on the 24th. I don't know, Brian and Libby, if that works for you. That one sounds like it could be Zoom if we wanted it to be.
That's Monday,
Yep.
August 24th, right?
Yeah.
I think that's fine for me. I think I leave on Tuesday the 25th, so that would be 24th is ideal.
Perfect.
And I
And
see, I
then,
see, I'm good there as well on the 24th.
okay, do we want to shoot for 11 a.m.? We'll check, we have to check all these with Suzanne, but
Sure.
okay. And then on 9/7, we are looking at actual proposals. So that would be what we need to find there is a date and time for an in-person meeting. Is that right?
Yep, correct.
But not
And that's
Monday.
Labor Day, right?
9/7 does not work, so.
I'm pretty flexible that whole week, maybe with the exception of Friday. Does anybody else have any? I know we're back to school at that point, Ken.
Yeah, Wednesday 10:30 is bags. I have the weekly McGlenn Andrews meeting.
Okay.
And then we have a 1 p.m. meeting typically that day, but other stuff can move.
And this would probably be like a 4 or 5 p.m. meeting. Is that what we're thinking?
Yeah, if this is a in-person one, then yeah, I think evenings sounded like they were better.
Brian and Libby, do you have any preferences?
That we're so far out that my schedule is wide open at this point. I mean, and I can be around Tuesdays, Fridays during the day, more easily if it works better to not do evenings. But I mean, I'm pretty wide open that week.
For me, I would say, Jenny, I'm kind of like you. I like things clustered in the middle of the week. We tend to travel a lot, and sometimes we leave early on Fridays.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's that, again, like that sort of Tuesday to Thursday is ideal. But it doesn't mean, again, I don't have anything specific planned, so we can adjust if necessary.
My only blackout that week is I just can't do Wednesday morning. But anything else?
If we did like a 4 o'clock start, it sounds like Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday are available.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, we can just check with Suzanne and pick one of those dates. And then 9/22.
This will be this will finalize the ranking of the non pricing proposals.
So would a 4 o'clock start work for folks on 9/22?
Yep. We have a building committee meeting that week, but right now it's on Monday, which is Yom Kippur, so that might move to Tuesday.
Yeah, I've been messing around with all of those dates, so we're not interfering with various calendars. So if we lock this in, I will like feed it back to the other calendar.
Sure.
That should be fine for me too.
Yep, that works for me.
At 9/22 or, I mean, 9/20.
Yeah, 9/22.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Yeah, right now I have the 29th for CM interviews.
long are the interviews, Matt, usually?
Usually we'll give, I would say roughly like 45 minutes. You know, you do like a 20-minute presentation, and a 30-minute Q&A is usually pretty typical. And then, we'll have 15 minutes kind of between each of the interviews if we schedule them on the hour and kind of stick to that. But we've seen,
That's
you know,
tight.
we've seen other people do longer interviews, shorter interviews. Like it is really kind of up to what we want. So if we want to do a longer, allow them to do a longer presentation, we can bump it up to a full hour. But pretty
Timothy, what are your
flexible.
thoughts?
Sorry, I was trying to get my calendar updated here. You're asking what the length of the interviews?
Yeah, like when we're interviewing CM firms, where are you thinking like we should be in terms of timing expectations? This just feels like a really big decision. So, but I
Yeah,
don't know what
so
that
they don't.
means because I've never done this before.
Yeah, I've never made the decision myself. I mean, but I assumed there would be guidance, but I mean, I would expect they give a presentation for, I don't know, half an hour, 40 minutes. And then there's some amount of time for Q&A. Um,
Yeah, we did it in Wilmington.
hour at least total.
Yeah, it was at least a 30-minute presentation for them, and that was tight.
Yeah, I mean, I've actually never, I don't think I've ever sat in on a CM interview. But the ones that we do usually are 40 minutes, 30
And you can
minutes.
always, sorry, you can break them up over a couple of days as well,
Mhm.
just if you want the longer, presentations, because I think the good thing I think about the interviews, specifically, like one, you're learning about the team and how they might fit into our team, our wider team, including the Medford folks. And then the other thing is you learn a lot about the project itself through the lens of a number of different builders. So we're also taking in a lot of information on how different CMs would approach your project. So I think for this project in particular, a longer interview would make a lot of sense.
Mhm.
And so breaking it up maybe over a couple of days. Of course, we won't know exactly how many firms we're getting, but so we can kind of fine tune that. But if I think, allot 2 days for this, and on the second day, we stay and deliberate and, do the final ranking after the second day of interviews, I think makes a lot of sense here.
I think that makes
After
sense.
you
If we
finish-
somehow get down to 3 firms, maybe we can squeeze them into a day if people's schedules allow, but it's gonna be hard. I mean, leave some space in between for,
But we'll know more once we get through the qualification process,
Yeah.
who qualify, but then some may not submit.
right.
Yeah, right. It's entirely possible that, if a CM firm, doesn't think that they can actually support the project, they may not submit a proposal. So yes, that is a possibility. If firms do submit a proposal, we have to interview them. That is part of Mass General Law. So
Oh,
so we will
So
if
we're not shortlisting.
the shortlisting is really through like the pre-qualification
Okay.
process. So
got it. So we've already said they're qualified. So then
correct. Yeah.
they get to decide
Yep.
if they want to be interviewed, basically.
Correct. Yep.
Got it.
And what should we expect? Like how many proposals do you think is likely?
I would say this project is large, so we might wind up getting a handful of like maybe 5 or 6, I would say, but and maybe a couple of joint ventures thrown in. It really comes down to who can handle the size of the project, bonding wise. But the joint ventures, will open it up to some solid partnerships.
Yeah, I think
Can't think of
there's
more than 5
probably
company that would be big enough.
yeah, I see two, 3 firms maybe submitting proposals by themselves. And yeah, I could see a couple of joint ventures as well. But yeah, I think Jen's right. Probably between 5 and 6 is what we'll see. And depending on the composition of those teams, we can determine if we find them qualified or not.
Why don't we at least just count on an hour per, and once the prequals are sorted through, if we need to add an extra day or stretch it out, does that make sense?
Yeah, or if we want to stretch them to 90 minutes or something, there's 2 in a
Yeah.
day.
Yep.
You can easily do that.
Yeah, I think we'll have a better idea once the prequels are
Yep.
sorted through.
So maybe we block the 29th and 30th from like 4 on.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, easily.
okay, great. There's a lot of calendar Tetris going on to set the SBC
Sure.
schedule too, so that's why I just want to make sure we have the right timing for this to be thorough. And then we would do the ranking at the end of day 2.
And I think we could be surprised either way. You know, it may boil down to just a few firms, and we might be surprised, depending on the market, that it's you know, way more than we expected. So
Yeah,
Yep.
We were surprised with the architect submittal, so we'll see.
yeah, true. I
yeah,
actually thought it'd be more.
I did too.
Okay.
Okay.
And yeah,
then Matt, I'll get back to you about that date.
Yep. Yeah, that will have to get coordinated with the other building committee meetings. But yeah, sometime in that first week, I think the 5th is the Wednesday. I know we've been holding some building committee meetings on Wednesdays when Mondays don't work, so that's why I threw that in there.
5th is Monday.
The 5th is a Monday?
Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, and it conflicts with our school
Yeah.
committee meeting, so it's gonna move. So
7th.
I will,
Yep.
I'll take that action item to figure that part out now that we have the rest.
Okay.
Hold on just one second, Matt, before you move on. And Matt, will you send calendar invites to everybody for these times so that we can
Yep.
all have them locked in?
Okay.
Great.
Alrighty. I am going to take a quick screen share because I don't think this will disappear when I or move the screen.
Can I ask a question? The MSBA doesn't, and other than dictating the process, they're not weighing in on how we select our CM at all?
Nope. It's entirely different body.
Yeah.
Yep. As long as, when we submit schematic design and have, the OIG approval, that's, they just want to make sure that we've gone through all the necessary steps to actually procure a CM at risk.
Oh.
Okay. I think all of these are gonna. Yeah.
Matt, it's okay. I've
Sorry.
also been taking notes, so it's all right.
Yeah.
So we have 9 minutes left, and I think we have to go through any sort of feedback and comments that we have on the RFQ draft. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and I did receive, I'll actually pull up the actual RFQ so we can look at the actual sections.
And then you asked a question earlier, and I see it was like one of the questions on page 2 in that first section. The question you asked was like, do we want paper copies or do we want virtual, like just electronic?
Yep.
And I would prefer to have a hard copy. I think it's a little bit easier for people to like be in meetings and moving around, but I don't know how the rest of the group feels.
I'm fine either way.
Yeah, either one's fine. If we're getting hard copies, it is nice to have them physically. But
Then
I
let's
don't
do
think
it.
Same
we don't-
here, yeah, either way, but
I feel
physical
bad because we
copies are
hate
nice.
printing them, but
Exactly.
we don't print
Yeah.
that many anymore, but it is nice.
Uh,
It was nice for the OPM
It was
proposals.
extremely helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll make sure there's enough hard copies for everyone on the committee. Other than that, I think
the right
the
number?
other parts of this the page 2 was they're really questions for procurement. Is that right, Matt?
Yes, yep, which I'll
Okay.
follow up with them on. Yeah, it's just confirming yeah, how they want to handle it. I know when we did the designer, everything went through left field. So I'll double check and make sure that that's still the intent and okay moving forward for this.
Is 5 the right
Uh,
number of hard copies? I don't think it is.
I put 5 for the district members. I won't need one. Matt Rice, do you want one?
He was texting me that he's having a hard time getting his mic to work, I think.
Oh, I'll confirm with him, but I'll get at least 5 for uh or 6. Yeah, 5. 5 at least for the Medford members, and if Matt wants one, I'll bump it up, but I do not want one. I don't need more paperwork in the trunk of my car.
When you talk to procurement, I think ideally those copies, the hard copies, could be delivered to the high school so that they're a little easier for us to like distribute and field.
Get a hold
If
of.
they have to go to City Hall, that's fine. But I think expressing a preference to procurement would be helpful if they're okay with that.
And
Okay.
if you want to put my name, because if you put Macalino, God knows
Right.
you're the one here.
Yeah, good point.
And Matt Rice has confirmed that he is good with the digital version only.
Okay. Okay.
So just make sure
Uh,
that procurement's okay with that.
Yep.
Great.
Same thing. I'll just kind of confirm if they want to have any sort of project contract number. It's kind of up to the procurement team. If they want a
And then-
specific number, but
And then these numbers will all of these facts and figures will be updated with C 2.2. Is that right?
yep. Yeah,
Okay.
that is what I was working on this morning. So these should these should be reflecting the C22 options. The description that I already had in here, the project history is just a quick summary of the high school, which is really from, what you guys had provided in your SOI.
Some comments about the project description. Go ahead, Libby.
No, you go first. Maybe it's the same thing.
I think the first thing is, and I've mentioned this to you all before, but the city of Medford is pursuing a project labor agreement. So that has to be reflected and noticed in this CMR application, right? In some way. They have not finished, there's a study or something that has to happen. There are things that have not been completed, but there has to be I believe what I've been told is that there has to be some sort of reference of that possibility in this before it goes out. So hopefully you all can take that on and figure out exactly what that reference needs to look like.
You talking about the standard of the prevailing wage ordinance one?
No, it's a separate, it's called a project labor agreement.
Oh.
And it's specific to the project.
Okay.
So that was one comment. The second comment was that the project history was clearly copied out of the SOI, but the SOI language doesn't belong here anymore. Like, we're not submitting an SOI any longer, right? So that part needs to be updated to not be talking about we're submitting an SOI, like we did that, we are moving on. So that has to be reframed on the top of page 4. The other thing that I think is important in this section, and it's actually like it comes up a lot in the community, like this building was built for you know, however many thousands of students, right? And so why is it so big? Well, one of the things that has happened over the course of time is that it did start as a building just for like 9 to 12. Over time, though, we have added things, right, to the building, like the MFN, the registration center, expanded central office, kids corner. Like none of those things were there in 1970 when the building opened, but they are part of like the evolution of the building. So I think that should be reflected here somehow, that like, yes, we started as like, it started as a building, and it has, as the student population has changed, all kinds of things have happened and decisions have been made to like sort of bring us to where we are today. And I don't think that's particularly well reflected in the project history at the moment. And I think it would need to be.
Okay.
My other comments in this section are about the phrasing and the language about LEED v5 silver. Like I know that's the minimum from an MSBA perspective, but that is not the stated goal of this project. So I just want that language to precisely line up with like where we are going. Like the school committee issued like a goal there, and we have not taken any formal votes to like change it, although I know that's in progress. So I'd like that language to be modified in some way to acknowledge like our continued consistent intent, which may change, but as of right now, like there is something on the table that is not exactly what this says. So that needs to be updated. I think in the work includes section, we also need to make reference to the possible secondary egress. Whether that will happen or not is still very much up for discussion and may not happen, but I think it is substantial and kind of belongs in here. And then in number 3, there's reference to modular classrooms, and we did just pick an option that is free of modular classrooms, so that needs to be updated. Those are my comments on that section. Libby, did you have others?
You got mine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, and I did take out the modular reference this morning, so that is gone.
Is that duration, right?
I'll double check as well. I am still actively going through and updating these, but I will double check and make sure that the durations align with the schedule that's outlined up above.
I'll just circle back to the lead question. Jenny, do you think it should say platinum still, or just, I mean, it says, you know, the
Silver,
minimum
gold.
silver, but goal is gold. And I know we've talked
Yeah.
about reducing the goal to gold from platinum, but that's what sort of hasn't been officially decided. Do you think it
Yeah,
should say
I mean,
platinum at the moment? Just say, you know, that's the goal and we can always change it.
It's got to
I
align.
think it's fine to say like the school committee, like the project began with an intention to do this,
Mhm.
given that the, you know, whatever, there's a new version out, the project is exploring a modified goal of this, but has not been decided.
Yeah.
And the minimum is whatever it is.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's fine to just say the truth,
Yeah,
where we are.
but
Yeah.
make sure it's very clear we're not just going for the bare minimum.
Correct.
I think
I can
originally
add in the majors, add in the language from the school committee discussion about LEED V4 platinum, and just make a reference.
Matt Rice is texting that currently the target that needs to be ratified by SBC is LEED V5 gold, which needs to be the equivalent of LEED V4
Yeah.
platinum.
And that just
Okay.
hasn't happened yet, so we should make that clear, so that if that does not happen, there are no surprises.
Absolutely.
Okay. get rid of. Okay.
And I know we're over time, so I need a little more time to like read through the next two sections for me personally. So Matt, I will send you any other comments I have. But I don't know if anyone else had comments about the next section, which is like the scope of services, right? On page
Yeah.
10.
I had sent you, Matt, some notes about that in
Yep. I
section
did.
before. Yeah.
Yep. I did see your comments, so I'll go through those today and incorporate those as well.
There were comments about adding in about project safety, about site security, butter communication.
Yep. Yep. The abutter communication is a good one for sure. So yeah, I'll definitely go through and make sure those comments are addressed.
And then page 14C, you had a 10-month after substantial completion commitment. I wasn't sure if that was enough, given substantial completion will be likely. I don't know what substantial completion when
Yeah.
we're moving the building or when the whole site work is done. Because I know like we'll continue to work on the site for almost another year, probably. I didn't know if that was a substantial completion when that was done or when the building is moved into.
It's usually the building portion of it, but also you can also make it clearer and reference both.
Yeah, so you just got to tweak that so they know it's not just, there's still a lot more work after that. And then 10 months after the whole project is done.
Yep.
And if everybody that sends Matt any comments can copy me just in case with Matt's impending nuptials, so that I can make sure that the next couple of weeks, if anything changes or comes up, I'm copied.
And then just I've got a meeting in another 10 minutes and I'm the host of the meeting. On the evaluation criteria, aren't we required to have all of our criteria listed in this? You know, we're going to say highly advantageous, advantageous, not advantageous, you know,
Yep.
all the standards, because
Yeah, this is the evaluation criteria section.
yeah, that's the minimum, but you've got the minimum criteria there, which I think at least one project within the last 10 years of this total construction cost is a problem because there haven't been that many.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that's something that that when I issue this to the building committee and receive comments from them as well is one thing that we'll have to address is maybe not dollar value, but size
Square footage and
of square footage. Yep. So I can clarify that, and I think it's something that we may want to talk about too, in terms of there aren't a lot of other high school projects in Massachusetts that are this size. So do we want to entertain higher education facilities that maybe are large and have similarities to to Medford High School? There is a way that we can kind of adjust what we consider as a similar project, as long as we are doing that equally across all of the applications. So that's just something we'll have to consider between now and when we get proposals, is how kind of stringent and strict.
Sorry, Matt, that's not right. You have to have the minimum criteria correct in this document because you cannot waive a minimum criteria.
Correct. Yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm saying. Before this is issued,
Yes.
we will make sure that we have clarity on exactly what similar type construction project means.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
my
would
first
think
comment was more about the evaluative criteria in the next section. We don't have any listed. I think we're supposed to have that up front.
Yeah, I'm going to be going through this again today with updating comments, and I'll certainly make sure that any numerical rankings are clear.
Brian and Libby, did you have any other comments based on what you reviewed?
I was just gonna go back to say, speaking of the project types, I mean, I think it would be fine to consider other non, public K-12 projects if it was a very large, complicated public, university project or, huge healthcare, but there's a lot of complications that it shows somebody can handle the work. A small project wouldn't be the same, but I think
I would
I don't
think
want to limit us yet.
it would need to be public
I think agree, public.
public work, I think. And
Yeah.
there's so few project typologies that entail this many types of construction and this many spaces. I'd be shocked if there was anybody that has, meets the criteria that hasn't done a big public school.
Mhm.
I guess
That's
my
it.
other comment on that is having done 3 of these enough? Like, that doesn't seem like they're going to be able to
Well, that's
handle
that's
this.
the minimum criteria that would get them to us to be able to review as a proposal, let them submit a proposal.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I
that's
guess-
okay.
Okay.
And to Ken's point, that just allows us to look at them, consider them.
Okay.
Because
then
3
you
projects
can-
this size is that's a lot.
You can have one of the evaluative criteria say, okay, 3 is, not advantageous. 3 to 5 is advantageous. 5 to 10 is highly advantageous.
fine.
Rank them that way, yeah.
Fine.
Yep.
Because it's a CMR project with a total construction cost in a similar amount, right? So it's not just they did a CMR risk project, but they've done 3 of a similar size.
Yep. Yeah, and I'll mess around
Yeah.
with
How does similar size work
Yeah.
in our context?
How do we define similar?
Yeah, I think it's really going to be from a size and complexity standpoint, just knowing that not many or really anyone is going to have, especially a high school project of this dollar value, just with how pricing has increased over the years. So I think
So
this
is there
will,
like a square footage minimum that we should be articulating? Like, this feels like super squishy.
Right. And,
So I
tying
think-
it to cost is hard because if it was done 3 years ago, it could be significantly less
doesn't be-
expensive, but still
Yeah.
as complicated and as large.
Half the price.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think, Jenny, it sort of wants to be squishy because I think what Matt Galino's getting at is that this is a kind of a unicorn project. And we really need to consider, I think, cast a fairly wide net. Because I just think that it's going to be tough to find somebody that's spot on with a ton of experience building this exact project.
Yeah, my fear with adding in like specificity like that is, people be like, 550 or 600,000 square foot building, like we haven't done one of those, or we haven't done 3 of those, we're not even gonna bother, but they maybe had a 500,000 square foot building, so the similar is really kind of what we need, what this committee will have to kind of agree upon, and having it a bit squishy does give us that flexibility to kind of make that determination. If we start to put very, very specific criteria, my fear is that, we'll just kind of push out interested firms, and not give us the ability to kind of evaluate them, apples to apples when we receive them.
So what's your recommendation, Matt? Like, I think we all agree, like, we don't want to push people out, but what's the recommendation?
I think the recommendation is going to be more based off of size, square footage.
But what's the number?
So Matt Rice is texting me because he still can't get through his mic. He's saying he'll send over the Lexington CMR FQ because that is they had similar discussions with that group around size and complexity for the similar project scope.
Great.
Okay. Yeah, and I have been talking with Kevin Sullivan, who is working on Brockton, so I will take a look at their RFQ as well and see if they had, anything, since they are a very large project as well.
So I think we are like kind of running out of time here, and I guess two things. One is it's our expectation that we're going to get an authorization from the building committee on next Wednesday to proceed. And this is not ready. So how do we go from here to ready and give the building committee adequate time to review this?
My intent is still to update this and get it out to the full committee tomorrow.
And we never gave them the heads up that we talked about, that this was coming, did we?
I mean, I've been referencing it and giving updates to it in our weekly recap, and kind of giving the overall schedule and what the game plan is.
But we talked about sending an email saying, as a heads up, you should expect this thing on this day so that you can review it, so that you can be prepared to provide an approval. And that didn't go out. So I don't
It went out in the
know.
weekly recap, Jenny. That's exactly what we talked about last week, that I would highlight those things in the weekly recap, and that's what I did.
It was in the email or in the attachment?
Yes, the attachment.
Okay. I don't think we should assume people have read that. But I think more importantly, if we are going to send them something, we have to figure out the messaging, because this is not ready.
Do we want to send it out to this group tomorrow, Matt, and then circle back? Do we need another meeting? I'm available next week if we need another meeting of this group to be able to, for this group to make that recommendation next Thursday.
If we post a meeting today, we can have a meeting on Monday.
We need to meet, or can we do this by email? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a great question, Ken. So perhaps the better path forward is for everybody to provide their comments and this group to take a vote to authorize somebody to like green light this to the building committee. And that can be me, or it can be Ken. It could be the two of us. That's not a quorum, so that would be fine.
Yeah, why don't Jenny and I do it?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
So can somebody make that motion for me?
So moved.
Okay, so motion to provide feedback via email and authorization to Ken and Jenny to give the final say go to the to send this to the building committee by Ken and seconded by Libby. I'm going to call the roll. Jenny Graham, yes. Ken Lord,
Yes.
Libby Brown,
Yes.
Brian Hilliard,
Yes.
Matt Galino,
Yes.
Matt Rice,
He has texted I.
and
He was
Dr. Galusi is absent. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The motion passes. Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By Ken. Is there a second?
Second.
By Libby. I'll call the roll. Ken,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Libby,
Yes.
Brian,
Yes.
Jenny. Yes, sorry. And Matt Rice.
That was good. Excellent.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the affirmative, 1 absent. The meeting is adjourned.